Got it. You got it. Hi, Isabella. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you? Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for everything. And yeah, she was right. I hope you was warned. We do this thing called the over-the-top intro, mainly because we want to inject a little bit of energy. We want to inject a lot of fun in this, mainly because we talk about a storyline that borders that line. We'll get into that in a minute. So, if it's okay with you, can I go ahead and start?
Please.
My next guest is a director, cinematographer, writer based out of New York. You may know her from her photographs, her work with Levon and Kennedy, Mississippi Innocence Project, and what we are here to talk about today, the new documentary Glendora, making its premiere at the Dancers with Film NYC Film Festival on January 16th. Isabelle Armand, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
I love this film, period.
Uh,
I that's how I'm starting this interview because this is such a love letter to Glendora and the people of Glendora. I'm very curious, how did this idea come about?
First of all, thank you because it is a love letter. It came about because you mentioned my first project in Mississippi with Levon Brooks and Kennedy Brewer, who were wrongfully convicted, and that was 3 hours away from Glendora. So for 5 years, Levon and Kenny and their family, they took me in and they introduced me to this amazing culture there and their ways of life and the amazing music and the way they cope, the way they think. And as it was a different story, but as I went with time, I would notice that some elders that I would interview would tell me things that their children didn't know. So I started to wonder why some things are not passed down. Is it because people were transient? At that time,
Right.
people would be moving from plantation to plantation, like Miss Florida explains in the film. And that's a legacy in itself, but a lot is lost. Some people didn't know where they were born. And that started to fascinate me. Plus, I was already hearing all the stories and I was fascinated by them. I'm obsessed with time and memory and recording. Um,
Right.
so I was like, oh my God, I need I want to tell the story of a very small community and possibly, memorialize uh, their lives and their story, show who they are, because these are not people that are often seen. And I made a research. I researched, and I ended up in Glendora because it's very small.
Right.
It's in a county that is very destitute, it's very agricultural, so it's also kind of insulated in many ways. And
Yes.
because I had been 5 years somewhat introduced to the culture, for me it was very easy to just walk in and say, "Hi, everybody, I'm here now, and let's see if you want to do this." I wanted to feature the talents as well and everything I would find there.
Isabella, everyone in this documentary, every subject, everyone who got in front of this camera is a unique individual. And that is the understatement. That is an understatement because after seeing them, they all have their own rich story. And I guess, how is it that you have to decipher from the original, I guess the original point you were there and you're meeting with all of these fascinating people. How did the choosing process? How did you guys choose? Because everyone you showed me, and I only imagine there were more. How did you choose? Okay, we want to show a little bit of Black Man, or we want to show the PID project, or we want to show. How did you decide to show all of those things?
I think what happened first is that I hit it off with some important people like Miss Florida, Columbus, Black Main. Bucci came in a little later, and then uh, forgot who else in there. I'm sorry, I have a sinus.
It was a lot. It
Yeah,
was a lot.
and then PID. Uh, so I had to concentrate on a few main people. So we had, their storyline. The mayor is there more for information about his town and what he did in the town in terms of the commemoration of Emmett Till. So these five people just kind of organically came out as the people that I could follow
Right.
regularly. PID too, after I saw how important they were to the town. I don't rush into things. I kind of see what affects, what doesn't affect the town, you know. And um, so it became five main story that I think tell us a lot about the people themselves, but also the life in Glendora or their history in Glendora. And then we have
Right.
secondary layers. I mean, like Bebe, I love Bebe. Uh,
Right.
yeah, and Bebe, I have plenty of footage with Bebe, and I love him, and he's one of my friends there. But he's very shy, for instance. So
Mm,
after a first sit down interview, it was very difficult to get, more.
right.
Although he loved that I followed him around, looking,
Yes.
doing this and that. And I'm like, Bebe, I need your story. So, you have to follow the shifts. You have to follow what the people want, what they don't want. And in the end, I was very happy that we could have as many people as possible, spend a little time,
Right.
and also have the town as a character. Uh,
And yes, it's almost like you're reading my notes. That is kind of my next question, because it's like, how do you balance the emotion of most documentaries of like simply fact finding versus the emotion of the people in this project? Because let's take, and I'm doing my best. I don't want to ruin anything, but let's take the wedding. When you show the wedding, you got a chance to see happiness and people in the environment and something that is, well, for lack of a better term, fleeting. And then you show like I guess it was like the homecoming parade or a prom, and you show that the same thing that we just talked about with a lot of the fact finding, that there's like these little nuggets of beauty every time. So how do you balance that emotion versus fact finding itself?
I guess that's what I was after since the beginning because me, as a participant, when I'm there, for instance, before I was filming to do the first project where I was only doing photography, I was living those moments with the people and they were amazing. And so that's why I wanted to film, to share that with the audience. It also show who it is, where they are, what they do, how they do it, you know, and that's really important, especially in a place like that.
Right.
A lot of people walking into Glendora and they're like, nothing is going on here. And those
It's a lot going on.
people, and those people maybe don't do what they should be doing, that type of things. And so I want to disprove that.
Well, one thing I want to talk about, like Glendora, the photograph book
Right.
versus the documentary itself. How does those two things differ? Or is there, because the documentary, you gave me so much, but from the book, how does that differ from the book, or is the doc inspired by the book, or how does that
So the book you haven't seen yet because the book I'm still editing the pictures. It's all
right?
black and white. Filming took precedence in terms of post-prod, but I shot a lot of photographs. I
Mm,
think for me, it differs because you're going to see a lot of people you haven't seen in the film up close. And it shows everybody and it shows clans, the relationships. One is a grandma and this is a grandkid. And, we have to realize
right.
big clans and people want to stay where they're from and their roots are. And then you have black on white, the
Mm,
stories to,
yeah.
to retain. And some of it is going to be what you have in the film because they were the best stories and the most representative of the people telling them. But then you're going to have little quotes from people you don't know, you haven't seen in the film, people who are all part of the community. And it will differ also in the sense that unfortunately, after I left Glendora, things happened. Uh,
Yep.
and I wish it were good things, uh, but none of them were. For instance, the little rappers, when
Hmm.
they directed me for this scene. I want you to know this is something we did together. They would direct,
Okay.
and Nick, the main guy. was 13 at the time, and he committed suicide. I think about 6 months ago at 17.
Mm,
And that's tragic. And he was very, very talented. Um, there was also, unfortunately, a murder in Glendora, also of
mm.
a young guy that I knew, 19, and
Yeah.
and
So there's
who
no
who
way
was
to.
accused of it is he's also in the book. He's also in the film. This young man who was found responsible for it.
I
So
see.
yeah, so unfortunately there'll be, and I hope that I have to talk, of course, to the parents of some of them to see if but
Um,
things happened.
I was gonna ask this, and I think you just answered my question. I was gonna say, in the doc, what is the most challenging part about making this movie? And you just told me a few of them right there. But I guess I could pinpoint, I could kind of convert that into when you make movies like this and you're capturing life in a moment at that time, how important is it with you to stay around them, or is it just kind of a moment in time, or reach out to them, or do you just say, this is it? And you kind of gotta, I don't want to say distance yourself, but you kind of gotta walk away.
No, I can't do that. I mean, I'm not that kind of person.
Okay.
Oh, I spent a lot more time hanging out than filming almost.
Mm-hmm.
I I love Glendora. I love everybody there. I miss it. I miss the kids that I've seen born and growing up. I miss the pre-teen that some of them are no longer there or in jail now, the people
I
that
see.
weren't going that way. Um, so I spend all my time there. That's the point. Because if you're going to do a film like this, the only serious thing is that it's people's life.
Right.
You're not going to go in and say, oh, yeah, let me do something about your life. I'll just be here a few months. And, it's not how it works. You need to learn and listen and spend time. And I'm very nosy. Like that, I knew everything that was going on before anybody else knew to film it. Uh, but people also know if they tell me something, they're only telling me, unless it's on camera. So, no, there's no distance. I
Well,
can do that with any distance. The only thing is that I never want to be in my own documentaries, and I just
right.
want to create the space for them. That's all I'm interested in.
Well, I got one last question. Thank you for your time. We're kind of getting up against it. The big premiere is in less than 2 weeks at this point. And what do you want people to take away from this film?
That we don't know each other enough,
Mm,
that we need to uh, unite instead of divide, like we are today, that
right.
we have to give credit uh, to people who may be anonymous, but who are extremely important in this nation, in our history, in our present. And I want to show that it's a very, very young town. It's a contemporary piece in spite of the past coming through it, and that those children deserve a way better infrastructure to realize their full dreams and potential. And so many other little things that maybe people will see, in there as they watch. And recognize the talents of the local musicians too.
Well, Isabel, this has been a good time. Sorry, it's not a long time. You are welcome back to this podcast anytime you want. This has been such a treasure. This has been such a joy. Thank you so much for just giving us a little bit of your time today.
Thank you very much, Thomas. So appreciated.
All right. Thank you.